I might become famous for this quote that popped out of my mouth yesterday. And it goes like this. I said, in a rare moment of clarity, I realized that our spirituality is merely mental illness that we keep rearranging like deck chairs on the Titanic, and we keep giving it different names like spirituality, non-duality, twin flames. You know, you can go through the list. New Age, you can go through the list. It is all of this psychological activity of the mind, the brain, trying to rearrange itself into normalcy, to self-regulate into normalcy. And it's forever the unconscious movement by the mind to search for safety and for sanity, right? I'm going to take a Bible verse, and this is my peeve with all spiritual texts, ancient texts. They are writings that have to do with mental illness. But of course, they're not written in that. We have Carl Jung to thank for bringing some contemporary meaning to all of the ancient sayings, parables. But what I was going to say is, in scripture, there is a verse like where Jesus is saying, a house divided against itself shall fall. That is a parable or metaphor, analogy, which if I were to ask you what that meant, you will not know what that means, because that's not in our vernacular. That's an ancient mystical saying, and all that means is if you're unstable in your mind and you have your two consciousnesses, your conscious and subconscious mind, fighting against each other in mental illness, you're going to be a wreck, right? You're going to be an absolute wreck. And that's really what all the spiritual texts are referring to, your mental state. And all of us are in a state of mental illness. And like I said, we shuffle around philosophies, trying to maintain some sanity, right? This is not about whether angels are real, whether guides are real, whether Jesus is real. You're skirting the issue of mental illness. You're skirting the issue of recognizing that your house is divided. And our search for spirituality is merely this struggle of our divided house, the ego against the soul, right? So we try to kill the ego. We're not meant to kill the ego. We're not meant to kill anything. But we have to come into balance between the two. And that's really what it is. So if we could all agree that our spiritual endeavors, our spiritual journeys, our astral travels are all symptoms of mental illness. But that's really what it's all about. I think then we would maybe understand each other, because mental illness is a contemporary word that's not couched in a spiritual parable about having your house divided within yourself and you're falling. That's a parable that describes mental illness. So, what do we have to do to resolve this mental illness? We have to let go of the enmity. We have to let go of the idea that we need to fix ourselves with spirituality. We do need to become aware and try and regulate and calm our nervous system and all of these beliefs that were implanted in us, that we are sinners, that we are bad people. None of that. You can use one label that applies to all of those situations, and that is mental illness. Is mental illness a fault of our own? No. We live in a chaotic world that produces nothing but mental illness. It's not our fault. But as soon as we allow ourselves to be labeled that way, as soon as we can accept that we're all mentally disturbed, that we're all emotionally disturbed, that we're all psychologically disturbed, and our marvelous mind, our amazing psyche, is by default created to find solutions, to find stability. That is all it is, and we're all doing that to one degree or another in different ways, right? So you're not more spiritual than the atheist. Your brain is just responding to spiritual concepts better than to the materialistic atheist. The atheist is more left-brained. That's the only difference. It's more left-brained dominant, and the spiritual person is more right-brained dominant. And again, that's the house divided. And we need to understand the one common denominator, and that is we're all mentally disturbed trying to find our way. So, you've heard it from the renegade first, and I think it's a truth that cuts through all the BS, the confusion. We're all the same. We just process information differently.